Hello, Matt. Welcome to the Isekai Realms pre-show hangout. Tonight is really exciting because it's the first episode that no one has seen, including us. We have only recorded it. We have not watched it. Only Allie has seen it, as far as I know.
We
Yep.
kept
And
our eyes closed the entire time we recorded it. So,
it's going to be really cool.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
I sort of remember what happened. Sort of. Sort of. So, yeah, it's exciting. I'm still walking around with my holy sword and not yet a paladin, still trying as hard as I can. So, how are you guys doing?
I'm pretty good.
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 Good. Good.
Doing well.
So far.
It was nice of Chris
Yeah.
to let us, it's nice of Chris to occasionally let us come back to the real world in between the episodes.
I know.
Just to,
these
like,
short visits.
take a shower and,
I'm
He
generous.
releases us from our prison.
yeah.
Prison to you, maybe. Prison to you.
Yeah, that's true. Some of us don't exactly see it as a prison.
Prison.
So, yeah, this last episode, you transformed.
I did. Not the
Uh-huh.
only one, mind you.
Yep.
Yes, that's true. Joel as well.
The
Something-
prettiest one, probably.
Yeah. That's
But,
something I'm still not clear on, and I think I hope we discover someday is what caused Joel's, and if somehow my transformation triggered that transformation, because I'm now kind of like, I don't know if you thought about that. I've been thinking about that.
I had not. I was sticking with the family curse angle, but
You have dwarves in your family, Joel?
to be discussed later.
Okay. Yeah, so I was curious, like, I imagine maybe that took it from a ooh, cool world magic. I'm in no rush to leave, to, oh cool, I'm a moon elf, you are gonna have to drag me out of here.
I mean, basically, like,
Yeah.
so there's a. It's no secret that I am transgender. That there is a long joke about the one superpower that most trans people I know would pick would be shapeshifting. And lo and behold, I now have the ability to change my shape while I sleep to be anything I want. So
which you don't want to use, or
Well,
you only wanted to use once.
That's generally the joke too. With
Oh.
I'd only use it once and then never bother using it again. So yeah, it's just that's been pretty funny to me. But yeah, you'd have to drag me out of there kicking and screaming. I would not leave willingly at this point.
Fair enough. How about go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Randy, because, yeah, I have something kind of tangentially related.
Oh, I was just gonna ask Joel, like, what did it mean for you to, like, wake up as a dwarf? Was it like, oh, this is awesome, or was it like, what the hell?
So I don't know if we're probably not going to get around to discussing this on stream. So let's talk about it now. So I have actually had a theory that for a while that we are not actually us. We are not the players. We're the PCs. So there is no going home because when I watched the original episode, when you guys went in, there was a 5 or 6 week gap until I joined the game, and you guys were still out in the real world while that was going on. So either there's
Did you actually see any of us, Joel? Did you encounter any
in
of us
person?
in the real
No,
world?
but I saw.
Okay.
There were episodes. So my working theory is either that there's doppelgangers filling in for us, like in Randy's books, for people in Wizard Prison, or we're not the originals. We're a duplicate, clones, PCs, whatever we are. So we aren't going home at the end.
That's interesting, Joel. I suspect that because everything occurs in the Chrisverse, from this game to my home game to anything else that I run, I have over the years had a similar situation to what you all sort of accidentally had by you coming in one session behind everybody else, right? Which is people that have joined the game at different points in time. And so when you do that, as a DM, you really have to think about that very question. What is going on back in the real world? What is, are these people missing? have they been replaced? Like, what is the story? So it's interesting that you should point that out.
The Narnia situation.
Would it surprise anyone that I said I have not thought about that at all?
Nope, you're all in.
So,
Like,
so I guess Joel.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, at most, I have pondered. Now, how can I get my partners here?
There you go.
So to circle back around to what Randy originally asked, I think I adapted to it pretty quickly because I am not convinced that this is my real body.
Is a dwarf like if you had to pick someone that's like, oh man, cool, like, because if I recall correctly, wasn't your brother or somebody in the chat saying like turn him into a dwarf or something like that? Was that was that sort of the inspiration, or is this like something that was he saying that because that's something that he knew you would like really love?
I don't think I've ever even played a dwarf.
Yeah,
So,
I think it was a troll.
I think it was trolling me, and I mean, he asked. We were collecting for the Trevor Project that night. And he asked,
that's right. It was a
asked,
donation
like,
thing.
how much would it be to turn Joel into a dwarf? And then he made a pretty good sized donation.
He
That's
paid the
right.
material components for that spell. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a family curse.
Yeah, which
Oh,
makes
family-
sense.
gotcha.
Which makes sense.
Okay.
Like, I'm still like on the lookout for that monkey paw shit though, because I picked up on it. I picked up on it during that transformation sequence when I was like, hey, let's maybe dial that back a little bit with the "stop a man's heart" comment. I've since learned that is a mechanic. That I would
If you're a nymph. I think if they disrobe it, it strikes you blind if you see them clothed. It strikes you dead if you see them naked.
Right.
If I remember correctly.
In the words of Rhiannon Held, there's no such thing as a free lunch.
Yeah, it's all a matter of are you willing to pay the price? And thus far,
she's definitely the one with the highest wisdom score. I just gotta say.
Or are your friends willing to pay the price for you because
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true.
We just have to put the mask on Allie.
A mask, yeah, that would be. I would hate that. I like masks. I probably would not
your
like.
face the whole time. Though?
Dial it back to an
Yeah.
18. Okay.
Well, I'm hoping that I dialed it back sufficiently. Clearly, I'm not killing anyone by being looked at. So
You are definitely attracting attention everywhere you
Yes.
go, which I think, you'll see a bit of this here, but I think I do a reasonably good job of conveying that point to you as you go. But
you haven't like flashed anyone blue steel yet either, so who knows?
That's fair. That's
You might be
fair.
able to stop crossbow bolts with blue steel. I'm just saying.
Oh man. I don't really want to I don't want to test that.
Yeah, let's shoot a crossbow bolt at me. Let me see if I can stop it.
Just like
Aim
throw
for the
small-
face. Aim for the face.
Let's throw like small objects first. Let's test it.
It's not a real test.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So in keeping with those questions, Randy,
Mhm.
what did people think of the dreams that they received in the last episode?
I think
Well,
mine was like least within the dream it was really short and was like, okay, I was like in a field of wheat or whatever, like golden fields, and there was a halfling. So I think mine, and then I woke up, I wasn't transformed, there was nothing like really, right? I didn't have, I think Eric kind of saw something that would drive some action, or it was tied to a Vindicator. Joel transform, Allie transform, Rhiannon clearly is going to, has a lot going on with her voice. But then the end of the episode, the halfling from my dream shows up. So for me, I think the dream was more of a just
Vibes.
just the vibes, and when this happens, know that this is something that is significant to you, kind of a thing. So for me, all to say, the dream itself, I was like, okay, cool. But then the end of the episode, like, kind of was the punchline to the dream.
Yes. Did you
They're in.
notice that all of your dreams none of your dreams were visions or whatever they are, right? Prophecies. none of them were connected directly to anyone else's.
I think this was kind of the first clue we had that our voices were not the same and are possibly even working at cross purposes to some extent. This is, and in terms of what I thought, in terms of the board, I think the biggest piece of information I got out of it was actually Rhiannon's. Because my working theory up until then had been that Briseis Kakistos was the one who brought us in somehow. But if
Not an unreasonable theory.
Yep, and I think there was actually I think it was a pretty good theory, but if the voice is warning us against her, then it seems like that is probably not the case. So it's like, dang it, I had this great theory laid out, and then it's like, oh, that's
Are we ever gonna
start over.
Are we ever going to see that board, Joel? Because we were promised a board.
I've been posting it as responses to Randy's summaries on the Discord.
I see. Okay, so we have seen
Okay.
that.
Go check out the Discord, folks. You can see my
Check out Joel's conspiracy board. Yeah.
Conspiracy board. It's great.
Only stare at the board for a certain amount of time. If you stare at the board too long,
It will stare back into you. Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
I think in my case, like my dream being mostly like the most interactive of them was interesting, and certainly had the most real world results involved. But
The
like
most immediate real world results.
the most immediate real world results. But like I enjoyed that. Like I enjoyed that interplay, getting to converse with this voice and even see it to an extent, this shadowy figure. I like that a lot, and clearly, as I keep trying to chase it, no spoilers, I keep trying to speak to it to no avail.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that Allie grows obsessed with contacting her voice again, but you clearly are very interested in doing so.
Yeah, it wasn't
And the
an
voice
obsession.
is elusive.
Yes, it wasn't so much an obsession as it was just like there are things I want to answered, and like I keep trying over the course of I keep wanting to over the course of the next like day, basically. So such a tight time span for this book.
Yeah, it's interesting that we have three completely different relationships between the voices. Allie wants to talk to hers, and her voice is mostly not talking back. Rhiannon doesn't really want to talk to hers, and hers won't shut up. And my voice and I don't want to seem to talk to each other at all at this point.
Yeah.
I don't have a voice.
Neither do I.
No.
But
What do
I
you
have,
What
I have
would
a
I
divine
use?
patron. I don't have a voice.
You burned your mark out in episode 2.
That's right.
interesting that you use the word patron.
Isn't that the warlock?
Yes, it is.
Vernacular in 5e. Yeah.
Someone got
It's the warlock
voluntold.
vernacular in about 120 years.
Yeah.
Warlocks show up in 3E, don't they?
Got-
Yeah, but they're not the same.
Right. They're
Warlocks show
correct.
up as a main base class in 3rd edition. They really start to take off in 4th.
Mhm.
But anybody who was paying attention to Dungeons and Dragons going back to the 1st edition will know that there were an assortment of NPC classes that were published regularly in places like Dragon Magazine, and among those classes,
Yeah.
Warlock.
I mean, Briseis Taquitos is a warlock, right?
Very tasty when combined with sour cream.
Indeed.
Indeed.
First say is taquitos. Spicy. Anyway,
Oh,
we have to color that to her face.
don't do not do that.
wait,
We'll
only
add
do that
that-
while you got a little bit of the.
I'll add that to the list of things not to call people to their faces, along with freaking NPCs, guys. Like, stop calling them NPCs to their faces, at least.
Correct. So yes,
Yeah,
I-
you sound like a weird Twitter troll when you do that to people.
They don't know what it means.
You
We're
did
just
it too, though.
It means a nice,
Yeah, I mean
nice
you as
people
in
cool.
us.
You're nice people cool.
Oh my god.
so yeah, there's this sense that there are potential cross purposes. There are different bits of information that are being conveyed. You make a good point, Allie. You're the only one who's actually seen this thing that's communicating with them. Some of them just experience it as a disembodied
Yeah.
communication. And I hope that you guys find that interesting, right? That I'm not just cookie cuttering the communication across the board, or that you're not all experiencing visions, that you're all in all the time, that kind of thing. And the idea that quite possibly whatever is ever underlying your situation is complicated. It may not be unitary in, its goals, means, objectives, etc. That you maybe you're again, to bring up Rhiannon the second time in the chat that she's not in. I know the idea of being turned against members of the group is something that Rhiannon absolutely despises. Like would never want to do that, right?
Right.
But it's possible that some of these things might have goals that the other of these things don't share. And so it's interesting to see. Has anyone in thinking about what the visions were or whatever, has anyone gotten something there that they didn't like, were not pleased to find out about, or were dreading because they had that piece of information? I mean, Eric, yours was a fairly unpleasant experience, but
There were okay. So two things.
Mhm.
One, obviously it meant bad things ahead for us. And two, there was more to the vision than I took from it,
Hmm.
which I would eventually realize in retrospect.
Mhm.
And
like that.
yes, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. So yeah, it's coming up pretty soon though. You're gonna see.
Yeah.
You're gonna see.
Oh.
Allie was real excited. Anyway, I was also excited, but in a different way.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
And Joel, you haven't leaned in super hard to stuff in and around the vision that you got, or the dream that you got.
I'm just not really sure what to do with it. I am not familiar. Okay. I don't know how Amanat or returns to the realms. My guess is that's what's happening in my vision, but I don't know the story about how that occurs. So that it may be that you were intending to throw, and maybe the vision, saw how well I knew, Eric and Aaron's works and assume I'm like a realms completionist and I would know it all. And no. I mean, I know a pretty decent amount, but I don't recognize that scene, so I'm not sure what to do with it or what I'm looking at.
Well, when you have that problem in real life, what do you do about
it? Google.
There you go. You look to someone who does. That's the
Temple of Agma.
Yep. If we get a break, I described the vision to everybody else, and nobody else seemed to have a response to it either. So I don't know.
Fair point. Might be obscure.
Yeah.
But yours contained, if I'm thinking correctly, sort of like the furthest out in the future.
Yep.
2 years.
2 years out. A fellow with orange veins, some sort of magic user, military-ish uniform, or possibly a priest. Great work of magic. New sun in the sky.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. That implies that whatever is going on here is not something that is likely to wrap up in 2 weeks.
I mean, was he on a floating city?
He was overlooking a city. I'm pretty sure we were on a hilltop.
Yes, overlooking a city by the shore, not Westgate.
But not Westgate. Yep.
Okay. I don't know.
No. Okay.
I mean, maybe.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but like I said, I'm pleased that you guys found that interesting. And the Briarhouse stuff, the Jamal, what did you think of the NPCs in and around Briarhouse?
I enjoyed interacting with them.
Yes,
they kept trying to feed us cherries, which I can't eat. So I was like, well,
no. I didn't even know that.
No, it's fine.
Have you tried one?
It might not be the cherries in the realms might not affect me the way cherries in the real world do.
You wearing
That's true.
glasses? You wearing glasses in the realms there?
I am not.
Hmm.
Anyway,
So your food
maybe I should give
allergies
them a
might
try.
not be an issue.
But you see, contextually, I was going through an existential moment of like, this is really me. I'm really here. All these things are real. So, I think it would make sense that I was very much in my own head at the time. So I would realize that in retrospect.
And you're the first player. Well, wait, let me think about that. I suppose it would depend on the definition of what shape Rhea Kakistos was in at the end of episode 2. But you're the first player to take a life in game.
Deliberately.
Yeah.
I thought you did a good job of handling. A lot of people posture their way through that situation. Like, I had one of these games many years ago. If that player ever watches one of these streams, they'll know who I'm talking about. Punched a skeleton with their fist. And I was like, I'm sorry. What? I was like a right arrived first level character. I'm like, tell me why you didn't poop yourself and run in the opposite direction. And no, like you just, blunt weapons. I'm like, okay. So the fact that you treated that with respect and like you had a shock after effect and it affected you mentally, like means something in the playing a game that's designed to have an immersive element, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And it was very important that Joel was there because Joel was able to kind of like coach me through it a little bit. And we got to play off each other in a very cool way, I thought. So
that's one of the more interesting things about these types of games, right? It's all the things you don't know about the players, but that each group of individuals coming to the game brings separately. And I suppose that if you were playing in the old school system of proficiencies or you're playing in the new school system of skills, players have all got a bunch of, I can fish, I can hunt, I can track, I can, all the things that they spend points on, right? But people tend to forget that. I got to fish in this situation, so I've got a +5 to that. Let me just use it. But they don't think about what having that much of a background in fishing meant to their life. Whereas when you're playing if you happen to have had the experience of being able to provide people with relief from that kind of trauma, like probably nobody else in the group knows that, but it's interesting to see you take that part of yourself and the experience of your life and bring it into the game. And so every group of people that you put together is very different in that regard. They all bring something very different to the same set of facts. And that's one of the things that I find to be really interesting about these types of games. You're really role playing, really deeply role playing, even if you're not, playing anything other than you. So,
and don't forget that moment where I knocked some sense into you verbally.
that was very important to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because if you
enjoyed
hadn't
that.
done that, I would have just continued on going, this is just a game. I'm just playing a game. I'm having some kind of hallucination. We're just doing this. And then you're like,
Crunchy little
no,
bundles of XP. Yes.
no, these are people. People, not characters in a game. People.
Yep.
So, and yeah, that was very important to that whole scene as well. So
Yeah.
I think we did well. Good job, us.
good job. Well played, us.
Good job for setting that up, Chris.
Thank you very much. Last word, first word kind of went to Randy. Last word to Randy. So, Finnan, you got to meet Finnan at the end of the last episode. You'll start to interact with Finnan in this episode. I'd be interested next time to hear what you think about Finnan, Randy.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Guess we'll see.
You'll see.
Indeed.
Yeah. Don't know what else to say about that.
Yeah, we only got as far as opening the door last episode, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's
So,
it.
We are almost that time, though, I think.
All right.
Okay. New content, people. Enjoy.
All right. See you on the other side.